Good morning, Jackson.
Good morning, Tracy.
I'm just to introduce myself. I'm Tracy from Interiors Monthly, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Jackson Szabo. I'm the Portfolio Director of Retail for Hyve.
Wonderful. And just tell me a little bit about your company. What do you do?
Hyve is a long-established business, built 30 years or so now in various different guises. And really, the mission of Hive is to create and run game-changing events that really leave impact on the industries that they serve. So we run over 30 shows worldwide annually, and these are market-leading shows in their respective industries. Within retail, we have brands such as Spring Fair that's been running for 75 years, the largest, most diverse show in the industry in the UK. We have Autumn Fair, that's the largest show in the second half of the year. We have Glee, that's been running for 50 years. We have Pure, that's been running for 30 years. So we're very lucky to run really long established shows that make a huge impact in the industries that they serve.
Wonderful. A spring show obviously has just happened. How was that?
It was fantastic, Tracy. It was a really successful show for us and for our clients. I think we've been on a journey over the last 18 months or so. I think retail as a whole has been a challenging industry. And I think you see that in the event landscape. Events, when they're at their best, are real strong reflections of the market and what the market could be. And so what we've been working on over the last 18 months is to grow and develop these shows, bringing new brands and new retailers and essentially enabling the retail landscape in the UK to grow. I mean, that's the overall mission. I think if we grow the overall landscape, that's great for our customers, it's great for their customers, and everyone benefits really.
Yeah, I mean the UK market obviously has seen some turbulence over the past few years. We've had COVID, we've had Brexit, and obviously there are political issues, change of government and so on. How do you think these factors have impacted upon the industry?
They've had a huge impact. I would say probably 80% of our audience that attend the shows are independent retailers, and they are really at the core face of some of these challenges, really. I think it's a little bit different to some of the big news stories that you hear around some of the larger companies, because some of those larger companies, they have the scale and the resources to be adaptable. Whether they are or not is ultimately down to them. And when you're an independent business, it can be really, really difficult. The owner of the business also might be the person who has to deal with the IT. It also might be the accounts person. It's also the buyer. It's also the merchandiser. It's also the marketeer. And so it's very, very challenging when in a larger business, you would have an expert for each of those hats. And independent retailers have to be experts in each of those areas to survive. And I think what you actually see because of that is a really kind of, I suppose, vibrant and diverse ways of dealing with those challenges. And so the really strong independent retailers that are not only surviving but thriving also have really interesting and unique stories in terms of how they're able to do that. I'll give you a really good example. I was speaking to a high-end fashion boutique, say women's wear, in rural areas in the north, and not a typical. They were in a location that wasn't typical demographic that they were aiming for, and so in order to combat this, they actually acquired a post office next door and treated the post office as their footfall generator. The post office didn't make the money, but it generated them a lot of footfall, and they could convert that footfall into clients and customers of the fashion boutique. A really interesting model that was so successful, they then branched out into other stores and other shops in different locations using that model. So really interesting, unique way of having to combat some of the challenges that you mentioned retail has suffered from over the last number of years. And I think the other thing to say as well is each of those challenges that you mentioned needs a different and unique response for many companies. And it has been one thing after the other. I think that's the other thing to bear in mind. It has been incredibly turbulent with multiple challenges and also challenges such as supply chain issues with various conflicts around the world that adds to the strain and the challenge. So yeah, it's been a very difficult period, and it showcases the kind of the resilience that those passionate people in retail have. Really unbelievable resilience, frankly.
That sounds like a really just so inspirational, and it just does show that adaptability in the industry is so important, yeah, especially with a massively changing landscape. What about sustainability? I mean, that's coming more to the fore. How do you think that's having an impact?
I think it's also having a huge impact for not just for retailers but for consumers as well. And I think it follows a trend that we have been seeing a lot in retail, where you have a number of consumers that are turning to kind of values-based buying. And what I mean by that is they want to buy from brands who have stories and values that match their own. And obviously, one of the ones that is a really hot topic at the moment worldwide is climate change and the impact that we have on our climate. And I think companies that are showcasing that they can bring you products that you love in a sustainable, ethical way are essentially winning in the market. And we've also seen the kind of the flip of that, companies that are seen to be doing things unethically having a real backlash and are finding it really challenging in markets and needing to prove to consumers that they can be ethical businesses and they are doing things in the right way and they are doing things sustainably if they want to do well in that particular market. So it's really, really important.